Hello, Weather Insider here for my first ever severe weather outlook. We'll be looking at the SPC's categorical outlook for April 17th, 2019. So, for today, we can see that there is a pretty widespread slight risk for the Midwest from Texas up to Minnesota, just the very southern portions of Minnesota, and also a pretty widespread, just general thunderstorm outlook. So we'll start with that. So from Arizona all the way up to Michigan, we can be seeing maybe some thunderstorms, just scattered thunderstorms. Not nothing really severe. Maybe a very rare isolated case of something being severe in this, but overall just maybe some showers and thunderstorms. Also in Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wyoming, and a sliver of Nebraska, there's also another risk for some of those weak thunderstorms. Now we'll move into the severe risk. So we could see the marginal outlook for most of the Midwest, starting in Indiana, and the eastern edge being in Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and going through Texas along the coast. Going up into Wisconsin, into Minnesota, into western or central western Iowa area, moving down through that northwestern corner of Missouri, across Kansas, moving down into the New Mexico region, turning back into Texas, and moving back down through central Texas. And in this area, it's a relatively small coverage in the western portions, but in the eastern portions, expect some thunderstorms, maybe a few severe thunderstorms being reported near you, but overall just maybe some strong thunderstorms in this area. Now we're going to move into the slight risk area with maybe some more widespread severe thunderstorms. This goes up into the very sliver of Minnesota, that southern corner, a little bit into Wisconsin. Most of eastern Iowa is covered in this, most of western Illinois, almost all of Missouri, and moving down across Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and all these areas. We should be expecting and a very small portion of Kentucky too. And in all of these areas, you should be expecting some stronger thunderstorms, but into the northern Midwest, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois area, we'll be getting back to you later. There's a little bit more that could be happening there. But down into the enhanced risk zone, we could see that Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas are going to be seeing some pretty widespread severe weather, some pretty strong storms, possibly big hail in these areas as well. So we'll continue into the tornado outlook for today, where we could see a pretty widespread 2% outlook, most of those slight areas covered in that. So from that southeastern corner of Minnesota, Wisconsin, into parts of Iowa, almost all of Illinois except for the extreme eastern parts, including Chicago, into almost all of Missouri except for that small northwestern portion, down into Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, and I think a very small sliver of western Kentucky. But we'll move into the 5% risk. First, the enhanced region is going to be seeing a 5% chance for a tornado within 25 miles of a point, and a small portion of that in between the two enhanced risks. But you could see down there most of Oklahoma, parts of that southeastern parts of Kansas, Missouri, western Arkansas, and into central Texas. So we'll move up to the other 5% risk in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois. For a tornado within 25 miles of a given point. You'll remember that there wasn't an enhanced risk for this area, but there is a there are good conditions for a small tornado threat, similar to what we'll be seeing in those enhanced regions. So There may or may not be a tornado watch issued for these areas. It's sort of uncertain. Sometimes we'll see them issue tornado watches for these 5% regions, and other times they don't. So we'll see what they end up doing for these 5% regions. Now we'll move on to the wind outlook. You can see those two enhanced regions in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas are going to see a 30% chance for a wind threat within 25 miles of a point. So you can expect within these red regions, if you live in that region, expect some pretty widespread damaging winds in these thunderstorms. But then we'll move into that 15% region stretching from Illinois down into Texas, two different portions of Texas, and across Oklahoma, Arkansas, portions of Louisiana, and a small portion of Kentucky. In this region, once again, 15% chance of one of these severe thunderstorms, or one of these thunderstorms in general, having damaging winds. And damaging winds or wind gusts. And they count these damaging winds as winds of 50 knots or higher, or wind gusts of 50 knots or higher. And 50 knots is about 60 miles per hour, 57 miles per hour. So basically 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, we'll just round it up to there. And there's that 5% risk for everywhere else. So you'll notice that if you are living in that 5% region for Iowa, you probably won't have to worry too much about damaging wind gusts, but this could change. So if there is a major change to any of these regions, sort as like an upgrade to a moderate risk or a hatched zone added or any sorts of that, I will update this forecast in either the descriptions, or if it's big enough, I will make a new video on it. Now finally, the hail outlook. Now we can see, I think the main threat with this entire storm system is hail, especially in those enhanced regions. There's a 30% chance for just generally damaging hail, which is about an inch in diameter or larger within 25 miles of a point. But we can also see that hatched area, which is a 10% chance or greater probability of 2-inch in diameter hail or larger within 25 miles of a point. If you live in that enhanced region or that hatched region, expect some damaging hail from these thunderstorms. So make sure if you have a garage, put your cars inside. Make sure you're not driving around during these times and that you have shelter, because there's going to be some pretty damaging hail in these. But generally a 15% chance for hail of an inch or larger within 25 miles of any of these points in this yellow region, which cover those areas I previously stated, from Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, down into Texas. And that is all for today's forecast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you either later or tomorrow with the next forecast.